guys, it's Amanda and Baron, and we are back again with Kicking Cancer Cares on KSLM Radio. Our sponsor for this first half is Marianne McNally.
Second half.
I think I did that last week, too.
That's okay.
I am... they're all first halves.
They're all first halves. That's all.
We're all first.
That's all. Marianne's a first for us, that's for sure.
For this second half, she is from Next Home Realty Connection, and her number is 503-409-4389. So if you're looking to buy a home, sell a home, not sure where to start, or if it's even in the cards for you, call her, and she will answer all of your questions. Very easy. She's super friendly. She is going through her own battle right now, as you guys know from our update a few episodes ago. But she loves what she does, and it's what keeps her distracted, and it's what she dives and gives her all to. So definitely reach out to her. Yeah. Thank you so much, Marianne.
Well, we had the pleasure last time of having a guest that really just literally popped in.
Yes.
Because she's back here from Arkansas, Stacey Ann. But now we have royalty with us.
Yes, we do.
We have the reigning Miss Oregon, Linnsey, with us.
Hello. Good morning.
Hi. Good morning, guys.
So before we get too deep into this, because I think this is important for the listeners to understand, this isn't just Miss Oregon. There's a bigger name around that. What exactly is that again?
It's Miss Oregon for America Strong. Yeah.
And is there a reason that there's a distinction in the name, or?
I think it's to give distinction to different pageant competitions.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's a Miss USA, Miss America, and this one's Miss for America, and they added strong at the end, which I like.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, strength.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're from Kaiser.
Yep, born and raised in Salem, Oregon, and I live in Kaiser right now, and I work in Salem.
But you won for the entire state.
I did, yes.
Whoop,
and I
whoop.
won as Miss Kaiser, which is awesome.
That
Yeah.
is awesome.
First Miss Kaiser to win Miss Oregon in this competition.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
But
That's huge.
somewhere in the next, 10 days or so, are you competing for a bigger title?
I am. I'll be competing for Miss for America Strong and hopefully be representing the entire country instead of just Oregon.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll keep you in my prayers. How exciting.
you.
Yes.
Well, I wanted to bring her in for a couple of reasons. She's got a very interesting connection to the why with Kicking Cancer, but I also wanted you to hear her platform because the platform that she's running on for Miss Oregon is a very interesting platform. But additionally, how do I say this? Our society, especially our media, do not do women any service at all because there's definitely this body image that our media puts out there,
Yeah.
And so if a woman's a little bit heavy, then they feel like they're not meeting the image that the media is putting out there. Mm-hmm. Except Linnsey has kind of the opposite problem.
I do. Yeah.
You have trouble putting weight on.
Very much so. And keeping it on to not dwindling down to being sick.
So where most women are going, I'm too heavy, you're trying to get weight on so you're not sick.
Yes. Yeah.
So I did want to talk about a couple of diseases, and I'm going to slaughter these things. EDS. What exactly is EDS?
So Ehlers-Danlos is a group of 13 heritable genetic conditions. It basically stems off of anything that has to do with your connective tissue. Your whole body is made up of connective tissue. And so there's different kinds, and it looks different for every single person. I kind of like to think of it as a pie chart, and everybody sometimes has something different. Some people have a lot more anxiety. Some people have more GI issues, and some people are always on crutches because they're having subluxation issues with their shoulders. I have that pretty bad. But if you strengthen yourself up through exercise and, you really condition yourself every day for the appropriate things that help out your entire life, then it's a little easier.
Okay.
But this is a genetic condition.
It is. Yes, it is.
So are there other people in your family who have it?
Yes, my sister and my mom have it. Unfortunately, we don't know her father, so we don't know if it comes from her mom's side or her dad's side. We think maybe one of our aunts might have it as well.
Okay.
But yeah, it's hard to diagnose because it's a hidden disease. And so a lot of doctors aren't necessarily trained to see the hidden things, and that can be really difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this isn't the only thing you're dealing with.
No.
So this is the other thing, Amanda. As I said, can you dim it? It would be easier to tell for her to tell you what she's not dealing with.
Okay.
Yeah, we met up for coffee, and he's like, "Oh, the list is going."
Yeah. So I said, well, let's just try to narrow it down to a couple. So you have one
Funny.
that's called
Nomia.
Thank you. You say it. It's a
Yes.
nerve condition, right?
Dysautonomia. It describes disorders of the anatomic, I always say that right, autonomic nervous system. And so it's like anything that regulates those functions, and it can look different to everybody. You know, you can have issues with heart palpitations, you know, and feel like you're going to pass out, nausea, fatigue, GI issues. It's kind of pairs up with the Ehlers-Danlos, but when you have EDS or other things like that, you have many comorbidities. And so it just depends on, you know, which prize you get. Yeah.
Yeah.
A prize
Totally.
you probably didn't want, right?
Not necessarily. Thank goodness for my mom, though. She's been through all of it and given me all of her information, and there's a lot more research coming up these days.
Yeah.
Well, given a lot of the stuff that Lindsey has to deal with, I went back to a book that we've talked about briefly.
Oh, yep.
Think and Eat Yourself Smart. And just for listeners who haven't heard me reference this book, the author of the book, Dr. Carolyn Leaf, she has a PhD. I'm going to get my glasses on so I can say this correctly. She has a PhD in cognitive neuroscience and neurophysiology,
Okay.
which sounds really complicated.
Yes.
Really intense. But she has a PhD in how your brain works.
Okay.
But she also has a master's in nutrition.
Oh.
So the whole book is about how food and your brain interact.
That's a huge important thing.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's why it's called Think and Eat Yourself Smart.
Perfect.
And there's a lot of stuff in here that we've referenced in the past. There's not time to get into all of it. But there's something here at the very start that I thought was really key. And Lindsey, I'm talking about how lots of conditions, stuff that she has, other things we're talking about. Our food system is really a direct cause for a lot of this stuff.
Most
Yeah.
definitely.
So what this says is that rather getting caught up, and I think this is so intriguing, rather getting caught up in whether we should go paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, plant-based, raw vegan, follow the blood type diet, or even genetic typing, to mention just a few of the diets that are popular out there, it would be much better to understand the fundamental eating and the completely entangled relationship between thinking and food, and how our uniqueness spreads throughout our spirit, soul, and body. So as opposed to going, well, I need to have a paleo diet, or I should have a vegan diet, or I should be a keto, or whatever the diet is, she's like, understand how your thought processes about food are really affecting your overall health.
Yeah.
And then she goes on the next page, and this is just sad but true. Today, nearly 1 billion people are hungry, and almost 2 billion people are overweight or obese.
Wow.
Indeed, for the first time in the history of the world, millions of people across the world are both overweight and starving.
Wow.
Now let that think in for a second.
It's
Yeah.
a big statement.
They're
Huge.
overweight and starving. They're dying of lifestyle diseases that are preventable. So we're eating food that has zero nutritional value.
Yeah.
And as I was reading this to Lindsey, I thought it was interesting because what's the platform that you're talking about?
So my platform is off of chronic illness, and really that definition is, you know, if you're suffering from something for 3 months or more, and it's just continually persistent. And so I started this because my family has so many different issues. My mom and sister have Ehlers-Danlos. We have something called POTS, which is postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, which falls under the dysautonomia condition.
I told you more things that she doesn't have than she does have.
Yes, most definitely. And my dad has suffered from pancreatic cancer, and he's had heart surgery, and we do believe possibly if we had, you know, maybe eaten different, maybe that would help. But genetics play a big role in that as well. So we all changed our habits drastically. I remember we had this heart-to-heart in the hospital, and he's like, you got to stop eating all the fried food. So I gave up French fries. And
Dang
later
it.
on
You're a
found out I
better
can't really
woman than I.
can't eat potatoes really anyways. It doesn't work with my interesting conditions.
Oh, yeah.
I miss it. It's so good.
Potatoes are probably my like, it's my weakness.
Yes.
Truly, my
miss
weakness.
bread.
Potato fries.
Oh,
The
yes.
sweet potato. Oh, that sounds so good. I gotta get lunch after that. Yes, but it also, this whole platform, you know, it's so vast. One of my cousins, she's intellectually and and oh my gosh, developmentally disabled. She has a one-of-a-kind disease that has no name. And so,
Interesting.
yeah, it's insane. She has several different things, and she's got such a sweet heart, and I have a very big heart for anyone who's disabled. And so it kind of covers everyone that is the most important to me. It covers all of their conditions. And basically, like, the reason why I started doing this is because I want to be a voice and a champion to, I believe it's 133 million people that suffer from chronic illness. And so I want to be a light that pierces through the battle of darkness and isolation that allows them to feel seen, heard, and valued.
Yeah.
Because when you go through these conditions, you have a lot of depression that happens, and you have a lot of doors that close on you, especially at the doctors who don't understand, hidden diseases especially. Mm-hmm. And so I just want to be there to help people be their number one cheerleader and, just kind of for that, for them. Yeah.
You made a statement to me when we were talking that your platform is really that you are not alone.
Yes. I want people to know they're not alone, even if they are alone physically.
Do you know why I started Kicking Cancer?
So that people don't feel alone.
When she told me, I'm like, this is so intriguing because,
so great.
I helped my sister out, and then there was somebody else and somebody else. I'm like, there's just so many people just in our community alone. And then you had him on the show, Dave Wentz.
Yes.
Which, by the way, I saw him last week. He's doing well.
Oh, good.
Well, he's not doing well. He's going blind. But
he's doing well overall.
He hasn't passed away.
Correct. Good.
But I realized there's all these people in our community that once they go through the cancer battle, then they just kind of meander back into the community. But they get lost. And I just didn't want to be alone. And then I met with you, and you're like, chronic disease, which cancer is just one part of that. But there's a common message here of you're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's also a reason you're wearing light blue.
Yes, light blue.
You want to tell us your why?
Well, I believe it was early 2022 or maybe the end of 2021. And I remember my dad told my sister and I, he has something important to tell us. We were in my parents' old house in the kitchen, and he was like, I have cancer, and I have pancreatic cancer. And we have such a joking relationship. I was like, wait, are you serious? And he was serious. And that was a difficult battle. It was a lot harder than his heart surgery.
Pancreatic or prostate?
Oh my gosh, prostate. Thank you.
Okay.
We talked about it. It's a whole different function of the body.
Whole different function, and then I would have told you the wrong color.
I'm like, I thought that was purple.
Yeah.
It was.
Well...
Or it is.
It is. So your dad had prostate.
He had prostate cancer. Okay. Oh my gosh. Yes. Sorry.
Okay. Well, and part of the reason I say that is I was introduced to this lady some years back, and I said that she was a prostate cancer survivor, and she's like, no,
that doesn't happen.
So she was a pancreatic cancer survivor. So anyway, so your dad had prostate cancer.
He did.
Which is why you're wearing light blue.
Yes, it is.
Now we're back on the right cancer, the right color. Go ahead.
I love it.
Go ahead and continue.
Yes, it was crazy. It took several months. Since he had heart surgery, it was a quadruple bypass. He had some issues with his lung functioning. It was only at 20%. And so we had to, yes, it was crazy. We had to continue, preparing for that and making sure his levels and everything tested correctly so that he could have the surgery.
Yeah.
And so once he did, it was awesome. He's cancer free, and he has been since 2022.
Good.
Yes. I love that. It makes me so happy. But it was quite the battle. My mom sadly had pneumonia and COVID really bad in the hospital. And so I believe my sister was pregnant, about to have her second child. And so it was actually my job to be there with him, with pre-op, post-op, and be through the process. And so we already have a wonderful, strong bond from childhood. But yeah, I was the one that went through that. And that was very interesting. And that was hard, definitely.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was intense.
So I think it's great that... No, I don't... let me rephrase this. It's not great that you have all these conditions. It's great that these conditions have given you a voice on a platform that I think is very valuable.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think what happens to a lot of people is life throws you stuff. It's how you deal with the stuff it throws at you.
Yes.
And in your case, you're like, well, this stuff's not going to go away. I've still got this stuff. So how can I help somebody else in that process?
Yes.
Right. What does the next couple weeks look like for you as you get ready for the Miss
for America Strong.
I like how you say it.
And one thing I did tell her before we started recording, it's not if she wins.
It's when she wins.
when
You're
you
awesome,
win.
Baron.
When
Trying
you
my best.
When you come back from Vegas and now you're Miss America strong, but what happens in the next couple weeks? What can we and our listeners do to help you?
Yes.
Well, I will definitely take any prayers, especially for resilience and for health through all of my conditions. I'm leaving on Monday, the 19th. I'll fly out at 9 a.m. and the events begin the next day. You have orientation each night. You have a specific different dinner. Like I get to go hang out in the Elvis suite one night, which is great. And you have multiple rehearsals in one day. And so it's like I have to pack so much right now. That's what I'm focusing on right now, and practice walking and doing some interview questions. But Sunday will be, yes, and the waving.
The
Wrong hand.
The cameras can't see it, but Ashley's
I know.
I love it.
And my grandma's like,
I
practice
see your
wave."
cue. Yes, most definitely. Actually, in my winning photo, I have my arm all the way up, and it looks so long because I have monkey arms, but it's fine. I don't care. I can reach stuff on the top shelf.
There you go. There you go.
But preparing really, trying to meditate and stay calm. I usually don't panic through a lot of stuff, which is great. But I'm feeling the pressure a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So next Sunday will be the day that we interview, and then on Monday we'll be doing our preliminary competition, and then we'll be doing the actual continuation of the competition.
So you said you leave on the 19th.
Yes.
Okay. The great thing is that this show that we are doing will go to podcast while you are going to Vegas.
I know, I'm excited.
and YouTube and all the wonderful stuff. Speaking of YouTube, we really encourage the listeners, if you have not gone yet, please go to YouTube. Just in the search engine, put in Kickin'Cancer Productions and then just subscribe to our show. And if you're a little confused, I guarantee you right now, Ashlie is putting right down here where to go to subscribe. But what we have found, and this is the great thing about having Linnsey on the show, is our listens and views are about 10 times our listens, you know.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's really easy for me to throw a Spotify on and listen to a show while I'm driving to Albany. Mm-hmm. But what we discovered is people like, what does Linnsey look like? Why is Baron crying? All this, and they can actually see it. In the last half, they saw me get a little emotional talking about Mike Sublett. But this show will be on YouTube as you're down in Vegas.
That's exciting.
Yeah, and then anyone can go watch it from there.
Yep.
So, anything else that we can do to help support you as you get ready?
Well, I definitely, of course, sending the good vibes. I'm still looking for more sponsorship. This competition cost a lot of money, but it's one of my biggest dreams in second grade, so I am making it happen, whether I fundraise afterwards or just continue to use my credit card or my fiance's credit card. We're a team.
And because this is going to air it before you leave, anyone that would like to make a contribution, please email Amanda at
kslm.news.
And you can help pay off Lindsey's credit card when she gets back.
Yes, if you feel like blessing.
Yeah. Well, and we're also excited.
Same.
I'm really
just kidding. I love being here with you guys.
We had a guest on probably a year ago, Amanda. Sarah McKeever was here on the show.
Yes.
My
And
sister
she's gonna be there
queen.
with you, right?
Yes, I love her. She's amazing.
Oh, she is.
She has competed a couple years and won. She just never gives up, and she just does such important work, preventing any type of suicide and helping people out. She's done a lot with that and saved some lives. It's her biggest accomplishment too, besides her kids.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm thrilled that we've had royalty on the show twice.
I know. I know. I love it.
So funny.
Yeah, in fact, she has the crown and everything. The show.
I know.
It's so
You have to go to the
sparkly. I
YouTube to
love
see it.
Yeah, for you that are listening, if you don't subscribe, you can't see the crown.
No.
Yeah, subscribe. They would like all the followers in the world.
Yeah.
What do you love most about what you do?
I feel like, I like making people feel seen. So as a hairstylist, that's my full-time career. I'm able to use my hair artistry to connect with the community, and I get to make people feel beautiful from the inside out. One of my most favorite, okay, so there's this one gal, she came to see me. She wanted to go back to being a redhead like she was as a child, and she hadn't had her hair done in so long. And so we did a reveal. I wouldn't let her see herself, and when we turned around,
I
she
love that.
cried. She said she hasn't felt beautiful in 10 years.
Wow.
And so when that happens, it just makes me so elated inside that I can give that back to somebody.
Yeah.
And so I want to do the same thing for other people and let them know that they don't have to struggle through everything. I've been through so many doctor's appointments and been there while my mom had doctor's appointments growing up. And I just want to help people navigate if they can, and to remember not to give up.
Yeah. I love that.
Thank you.
I remember when I would watch pageants on the TV when I was younger that I just assumed they were all perfect. Had the perfect life, the perfect attitude, the perfect friendships, the perfect jobs. And I like that you guys make it human and real.
It's not about me.
Right. And so that's really cool. And just bringing awareness to all of the things, you can use it as a platform to bring awareness to things. And so I think it's really cool what you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah,
so much.
absolutely.
Well, I always try to bring a timeline story.
Oh, yes.
It is so interesting to me how often we do a show like last week where it just goes and there's not time for the timeline.
Yes.
Well, it turns out God had a reason he pushed that timeline.
Of course.
Today.
There's always God
Yes.
moments in all the things. I love it.
Amen.
Because Stacey Ann said, "Hey, I'm in town. Can you want me on the show?" I'm like, "Sure, great. I would love to." So here's the timeline item. It was November of 2021, and KSLM was doing the food drive at Safeway.
Oh, yes. Yep.
And so I had worked for Safeway years ago. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I worked at the one on Lancaster. I was the assistant manager, and the guy that was the head clerk, his name is Jason Thornton.
Okay.
We had kind of lost touch because his career had continued, right?
Oh.
I had left Safeway to some other things. And he's one of those guys that watches Facebook but rarely engages. Mm-hmm. So he had
That's
seen...
like my husband.
Yeah. Like you see people who they'll sit and hit like all the time, and they'll occasionally comment. Or there's some who just kind of watch. Mm-hmm. And he's the one that was just watching.
Yes.
But all of a sudden, I get this random message from him right before that event with KSLM.
Okay.
Now, isn't it funny that we're talking to Stacey?
Yes.
Except her platform of You Are Not Alone ties into Jason's story.
Okay.
Because he reached out to me. This would have been November of 2021. That summer, he and his wife had bought a grocery outlet in Dallas, and his wife had this cold that wasn't going away. I've discovered a lot of times people who get leukemia, that's kind of a sign.
Oh,
They
I
have a
didn't know
cold
that.
that's not going away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think and again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not an oncologist, I'll just clarify that now, but I think what happens is as your blood cells begin to drop down, then your immune system drops as well. Yeah. So in Sandy's case, she had been diagnosed with leukemia.
Dang it.
And so Jason reached out and he says, I just love what you're doing because my wife was just recently diagnosed.
Right.
And I said, well, as it turns out, I'm going to be over at the Safeway where you and I both used to work. And they've asked me just to pop on just real briefly and talk to Terry Soul.
Yeah.
And I said, why don't you come on down?
Yes.
So we drove from Dallas over to Center Street. And I had him pop on for one of the little interviews, and Terry talked to Jason. While he was talking to Jason, I drove over to my store and I grabbed 2 orange shirts. And I brought 2 shirts back to him.
Oh, that's cool. That's awesome.
Afterwards, he and I got to visit a little bit more, and I said, Sandy was up in Portland at OHSU. She was doing a little bit better, and I said, we have this thing called a Go Team. Mm-hmm. And, is there a way we can help?
Yeah.
Because I just didn't want Jason to sit there alone in Dallas with what was going on with his wife.
Right. Yeah.
So sad.
And so Q2 of 2022 became Go Team Sandy.
Oh, I love that.
And we did some shirts. The shirt said support for Sandy on it. His entire staff out there at the grocery outlet wore them to work.
Oh, that's
which was
cool.
super fun. And the culmination of that was, it was back when the Capitals were having their basketball games. So I reached out to Jason Conrad and I said, hey, I've got this lady who's dealing with cancer. Can she come to the game? He says, I'll give her my seats courtside right up front.
I love that's cool.
So Sandy was getting better, and she's there at the game with Jason, and I introduced Jason Conrad to Jason Thornton.
Right.
Here's where it gets really weird. Jason Thornton owned the grocery outlet in Dallas. But to do it, you have to work at a grocery outlet and get the whole system figured out. Jason Thornton worked in Newburgh with Jason Conrad.
Oh, hilarious.
Wow. All
That's
connects.
funny.
And when Jason
circle.
Conrad, when he walks across the court to say hi,
It's like, hey.
Jason Thornton's like, I think I know you.
That's awesome.
So I just didn't want them to be alone as they were going through that,
Absolutely.
cancer journey.
Yes.
Well, because of that, the Red Cross just recently did a platelet drive like a few weeks ago. And I sat and talked with the Red Cross. We've decided that every summer in July, we're going to do the Sandy Thornton platelet drive.
I love that.
Me too.
And we're going to do it. They're on Hawthorne. We're going to make a big deal about it. We're going to bring some people in together. But all of this came because KSLM was doing that food drive. And
Yes.
it all comes full circle because whether it's chronic disease, whether it's cancer, we just don't want you guys to be alone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
there's my little timeline story
Perfect.
for you.
Well, thank you so much for coming in. I
Yes,
really
thank
appreciate
you.
it. All right, you guys. So Marianne McNally is our sponsor for this second half.
Yeah.
She is with Next Home Realty, and you can give her a call at 503-409-4389, and she will walk you through everything you need to know. And we'll be back next week as the movement continues.
continues.
Woo.